Okay, fam. We're going to go through Cisco for the real world with Jeremy from CBT Nuggets. Now we go to skip over most of the introduction and the GNS3 configuration. All that will be all skipped up for it, all the way up to the start of the actual configuration and working in the console. So what we have up on the screen here are the requirements for the network. And we'll see here is also, let me go ahead and 1 minute. Okay. Now this is the GNS3 topology. You're going to notice that it's a little bit different. Yeah, let me move that over. This little square up on the top right here. This square right here is there. Let me change the camera. Actually, let me I'll start over again. Yeah, it sucks. Okay, fam. So, what we're doing right now is we're going through Cisco for the real world with Jeremy and CB Nugget. We're skipping over the configuration of GNS3 and most of the introduction like spanning tree and other theory, and we're going directly right into the requirements and actually physically going into the console and configuring these. Now, the tutorial is going to be more geared toward the configuration and how the commands work and how you deal with issues that arise, how to do real-time troubleshooting. I'm going to screw up a lot of things. I'm going to have to troubleshoot a lot of things, and this is going to record it live. And we're going to see together how this is going to work. Now, I'm not an expert. I don't know everything about Cisco. That's okay. Let me just adjust the camera here. Alright. So, was that said? Let's go ahead and continue. I'm going to start playing this video here.
Depending on your patience tolerance. But I am going to walk through it. So if this is your first time through the series, maybe you watch it, you kind of get the idea of what's going on, and then you give it a try yourself and see if you can do everything that you saw, you know, jogging your own memory. You're not going to remember everything that I do in here on your own until you do it a few times. So, okay, can you tell I'm just ready to get going? Okay, so here it is. This first bullet, we may end up spending the entire nugget just on this. This is what I would call the base configuration of the switches. Now, I will tell you that when I do base configurations, or whenever I see base configurations, I immediately go, okay, Notepad or something should be used to help make this more efficient. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to build this as we go, typing in the commands in Notepad and then pasting them into the router. Now I'm going to start off, as you saw, I double-clicked on, where am I? Switch 1. I'm going to start off at the core, and every single one of the switches, each switch will need a base configuration, including the...
So let's go ahead and take a look at what that looks like. This is the topology here. You're going to notice that there is going to be, on the top right corner, parts that has not shown in the video that he's talking about yet. A little further in, he does add in another branch office to go with the cloud to do either a VPN or a WAN technology, which is needed if you want to do NAT and how to route NAT through a layer 3 switch or router. So what we got to do here is look at the switches here. This is a layer 3 switch, layer 2 switch. No, layers 3 switch, router, layer 2 switch. We got a couple PCs, and he's actually configuring this guy right here first. And here is the configuration for it. Now we're going to go ahead and just hide that for right now, and we're going to go back to the video and play it.
Host name, passwords, logon banner, 3-hour console port timeout, synchronous logging, telnet and SSH should be enabled, HTTP management disabled, turn on DNS and use those servers for name resolution, clock should be set, we should be using NTP to synchronize our clocks between all our devices. But by the way, when I say clock set, NTP configured, what I mean is we're going to manually set it because we won't actually have internet access at this point in the lab. So NTP, while we'll be able to configure it, it won't actually work until we bring up the internet link, which is router 1 over here, which that's going to be another lab. And then finally, the management VLAN and IP address should be used, configured using the following table. Now, you remember from our, let me bring up my, let's see if I've got my port spreadsheet. On our port spreadsheet, we went through and defined, let's see, the management VLAN is VLAN 71. And then we said, okay, here's the different devices. And what that allowed for, just to review a little bit,
go ahead and skip over
is
this.
It allowed for all of it, just great for editing anything. It's primarily to ensure they're not really routers. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to type in enable. Now, I'm going to, as I do this, replicate it over here on Notepad.
Okay, so here we go. Where's the console? Let me just minimize that a little bit so we can see the video still.
Now, normally, I will say, in the real world, I would just sit here with Notepad++ and just hammer out a base configuration and then paste it straight into the router. But I know, we're at the CCNA level. A lot of you may not know the commands off the top of your head, so I want to show you typing it in and then replicate it over into Notepad++. One of the things I like having is secure CRT or PuTTY. And it allows you to go in and type commands. I've got configure terminal, and as you just highlight them, I always set it to copy straight to the clipboard, and then I can just come over here and paste it in. So I've got enable, configure terminal,
shorter.
And just put those close together, and then the first thing I'm going to do is configure that host name parameter. Now that's an easy one, or should be an easy one. Where did my lab go? There it is. So I'm going to have the host name, and then I'm going to have the passwords. So the first thing I'm going to do in Secure CRT is just type in host name. Now this is Nugget Labs branch 1 switch 1. And in my Notepad++ file, I'm going to make that its own little separate line.
So we're going to go ahead and just do that.
To change this, everything else I'm going to kind of group together, smoosh together, kind of like I have enable and configure terminal. But the ones that I kind of put gaps in, I'll immediately see them and I go, okay, that needs to change as I paste it into the other devices. So now I've got the host name configured, immediately reflected there. Now I want to get in and hop into the passwords. So we've got the console port, VTY port, and enable password should all be set to Cisco. Now, I know some of you coming from CCNA are thinking, okay, enable password, enable secret, and I'll tell you, real world, forget that you ever knew about enable password. There's a command. I can type in enable password, which is a clear text password stored in the running config, or enable secret are the ones that I can type in, which is an MD5 hash in the running config. Real world, I mean, enable secret has been around since the turn of the century, even the 90s.
Basically
so
what he's talking about.
Nobody, unless you just have an archaic device, will ever even think about using enable password. So since we're talking about it, let's do it. Let's do enable secret Cisco. All the passwords were supposed to be set to Cisco. Copy that, blast it into my configuration. Oh, and I just naturally typed in Control C there. So enable secret Cisco. Now let's do line VTY04. That's going to be all of our telnet ports. Password Cisco. Line console 0. Password Cisco. Now let me copy and paste all those to Notepad. This little pause thing works quite well. So, just like that, they're all pasted into Notepad. I like putting little spaces here. It doesn't hurt anything, just so I know this is sub-configuration mode. It's just visually, I'm a visually appealing guy. If it doesn't look good,
So let me show you what that does. I'll exit out. Now when you log directly into the switch, you have these two commands here. You have these commands. But you have nothing. You can't change nothing. Basically, you can look, but you cannot modify anything. Just move this over here. Alright. Do apologize about the webcam. We probably don't even need it. Alright, so in order to make the changes, you need to enable it. We just put a password on it, Cisco. Now, after you have enabled, you can make the changes. Show IP interface brief, shows the interfaces. There's also show VLAN database. If you don't know a command, you always gotta hit the question mark and look for the command. if you don't know how to complete a command, you also hit tab a couple of times, and it usually will auto-complete if you partially have something typed out. Or like if I put I and then a question mark after it, it'll give you suggestions. And then hit tab, and it auto-complete it. Hit question mark, and it's saying word. So that helps out. I mean, if we go look at what he's talking about in the Word document, basically everything's all said here for us. Let me that's really messed up. Why? Wow, nothing wants to work.